Hey, what's happening, everybody? The other day, somebody was in the comments because they noticed I use the Google Calendar on my iPhone 15 Pro, and they're just wondering why I do it. And the number one reason is cross platform compatibility. I'm a tech YouTuber, so I'm always jumping on different phones, and it's easy for me to sign into my Google account and use Google Calendar. Now, to be fair, when I come over here and show you all, I also use the Apple Calendar as well. Apple Calendar, it works. It's designed to work perfect on an iPhone, and it does just that. It's big time into the Apple ecosystem, but I want to show you a couple of things, and I want to talk about a couple of things the reason I like the Google Calendar even more. Now, you see over here, you have Apple Reminders. Well, Apple Reminders does not work inside of the Google Calendar. I'm sorry, inside of the Apple Calendar. Some people like it like that, right? But you come over here to your Google Calendar, you hit the plus sign, you see you can create a task. Actually, it used to be reminder, but now that's what they're calling, reminders now. Google's calling it task. And anyway, so yeah, that's what happens when you hit that button here on the iPhone. Another thing that I like regarding the Google Calendar versus the Apple Calendar is I really like being able to, I like those little labels you got right there, right? Now, on your Apple Calendar, I'm going to show you all something here. Like, you can see labels, like when you open it. At first, when you open it like this, you just see the dots. In order for you to see the labels, you actually have to turn the phone like that, then you can start seeing some labels, right? So that's cool. That's good right there. But the biggest thing for me, like I said, is cross-platform compatibility. But I wanted to mention something else. And the one thing that I really, really like about the Apple Calendar is your time to arrival or when you need to leave, right? So the one thing that Apple really gets really, really cool whenever you are setting whenever you're setting an event is you get to do the time to leave. So for Apple, the default is set for 10 minutes before the event, but you can customize it on a per event basis. However, Apple's time to leave is unique. In other words, Google Calendar does not have the time to leave. So just in case some of you are wondering, like, well, you use both calendars? I do, and that's the big reason right there. I really like the time to leave on the iPhone. And also, if you've set a location for the event, Apple Calendar will analyze your current location, traffic, and time it takes to reach the event location, and they suggest to you a time to leave so you can reach it in time. So yeah. So anyway, that's some reasons that I use the Google Calendar, and those are some other reasons that I'll use the Apple Calendar. And it's not confusing. It's just I've been doing it for so long. I'm just used to it. Because if you look over here as well, I use Apple Reminders, and if you come over here to my slew of Google apps, you see I use Google Tasks as well. So I just I take whatever I can use from all the different ecosystems, and I just I apply it like that. And I guess some other things we can talk about, like calendar notifications, right? Both Apple and Google calendars offer a wide variety of choices when it comes to customizing notifications. For Google, you can set a default notification for every event, such as reminding you about the event 10 minutes before the start time, as well as remind you about the event via email. Moreover, Google allows you to set custom default settings for custom calendars. Now, for Apple, the default is set for 10 minutes before the event, like we just talked about, right? But Apple does that one better. So I don't want you all to think that Google isn't really on board with that. And now let's talk about integration with third-party calendars and services. The Google Calendar has some of the best integration with third-party calendars, period. You can add events from a third-party source. You can use links or import them directly using a file. Even CSV is supported. You can also request access to calendars of your colleagues using their email ID. Moreover, if you're a sports fan, Google allows you to import sports fixtures directly into the calendar and supports many sports. For example, you can import the calendar for IPL matches of your favorite team. Next time, you won't miss a match. Apple doesn't offer that functionality. And I wanted to say Apple doesn't offer that functionality because Apple is simple. But you can import holidays and subscribe to calendars via a link. So, Apple does have some functionality in that regard. Also, let's talk about adding new event suggestions. Google wins this one by far, and they should. That's their cup of tea, right? Google automatically adds events that come to your email, such as, and that's a big reason right there. You'll see me using Gmail, right? I use Gmail and the Google Calendar. They work with each other. That's just what they do. But anyway, like I was saying, your Google Calendar automatically adds any events that comes to your email, such as flight tickets or restaurant reservations, directly to the Google Calendar. This is great since you don't have to open your email every time you see the event details. Everything is in front of you, period. Apple Calendar offers similar functionality, though it only suggests you add an event manually. That's it. For example, if I receive a text with a date and time in a message, iOS will highlight the date and time so that I can create an event by tapping on it. However, it doesn't add the event automatically. And that's another thing too. That's what's really awesome about having the at-a-glance widget on Android. It just all works together and it's super cool. All right, so let's talk about data privacy. Everyone, that's a big one whenever it comes to Apple and Google and all that. So whenever you're using Google services, this is one area you usually expect to miss out on. However, with recent Google Calendar policy changes, Google has stopped using the calendar data for tracking. That's what they say. Hopefully it's true, right? Google Calendar events are not scanned like Gmail and thus not used for tracking purposes. Apple, on the other hand, maintains its users' privacy big time. All the data used in Apple Calendar is encrypted, and the company doesn't use any of the data for personalized ad targeting. So basically, I want to give the win here to Apple on that one. So let's talk about security. When it comes to security, both Google Calendar and Apple Calendar face one big problem. Users, especially during the pandemic period, are reporting an increase in the number of calendar spam. And there's another thing going on. You got spam and you got a lot of scams out there, right? Though both Google and Apple have implemented measures to tackle the calendar virus, sadly it's still there. It's the way it is. So if you're facing the calendar spam issue, which I'm not, you know, maybe one of the best things you could do is just, number one, use Gmail and just spam. You know, it's just, if something's spam, just send it. Spam. It might take like maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month to clear everything up. Just mark everything as spam and then take it from there, right? But I was going to say, when it comes to availability, and like I said, I talked about this a little bit, but the Google Calendar wins every time. Google Calendar works on everything, straight up. No matter what you're using, you can go over there, you sign into your Gmail account, and it just works. Now, Apple, on the other hand, it's just too bad that Apple, you know, they don't have some kind of, I think Apple should have the Apple Calendar cross-platform as well. But then again, Apple's bread and butter is the Apple ecosystem. That's how they make the big money. So that is what that is. So, like I said, just in closing here, a calendar app, in my opinion, should be easy to use. You shouldn't waste time setting up new appointments or waste time searching for your events. All right. So I want to say, although Google Calendar has many options that make it one of the best calendar apps, that does feel overwhelming at times. Clicking the plus button ideally should create an event. Google should at least provide an option or a shortcut to quickly create an event without going to the options screen. So on the other hand, Apple has one of the simplest looking calendar apps. Everything in there is in front of you, and you can search for events with one tap. You can easily switch between views, view invited events, and calendars with a click. Apple Calendar is the best app in terms of look and go, which I believe should be the purpose of a calendar app. So if you crave simplicity, I highly recommend that you use the Apple Calendar app. And if you crave extreme functionality, I highly recommend the Google Calendar. But like I said, either way, you can't go wrong. And if you're on an iPhone, I don't recommend you fight the software on an iPhone. I recommend that you just go with the program and, like when in Rome, do as the Romans. So when you're using an iPhone, just, be, an iPhone person, don't try to be all tricky and smooth and all that. Like I said, you can still see, yes, I use Google services, but I got all the Apple stuff as well. Anyway, I hope this video was somewhat helpful. I probably rambled on too long. All right, everybody, take care.